Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And we got a topic today: why your ex hates you. Why your ex doesn't hate you. Notice I put that in lowercase because the tone you have with yourself about something like this counts. And a lot of times, some people think, "Oh my God, my ex, they just hate me." Do they? If you feel like your ex hates you, first of all, hate is a strong word, a strong emotion. Individuals that use that word easily or use that emotion easily are not people you want to have a long-term relationship with. Hate, as you get older, is something that you want to work through to the point where you just don't have it, right? When you hate a person, that takes a piece of you. So we're going to dive into that a little bit further today. And I think if there's a reason that you feel like you as an individual are hated by your ex, you probably did something wrong and you feel guilty about it. So we'll talk about that. And if you have a breakup story you want to share, go to writemac.com, send it in. If you want to book a live coaching session, go to writemac.com, and we can unpack things on Skype or FaceTime. Get to the bottom of what's going on with your breakup or your relationship issues. I should add that I don't do just breakups. I've had people recently contact me and go, I'm still in a relationship, but I got issues. It's actually a better time to talk to me because a lot of times what leads to a breakup, you're just reacting to, and you're reacting to it real time on emotion, and you need an objective voice with your issues. Because this is the problem. Once you do break up, it's hard to backtrack. This is what I find with people. It's like once it does get to that point and you lost your patience or you took a wrong turn and then you want to get back together, it's not that easy. Because once that goes down, you can't just circle back that easily, right? Someone's made a decision. Philip, how are you doing? Are you okay? So, why your ex hates you and why? So, I'm going to give you an example. We got 7 on deck. Thanks for the likes, folks. If you want to make a donation, you can. If you don't, that's just fine too. Listen to the content. What's up, Dylan? The idea that your ex hates you, or your ex says, I hate you, or I never want to talk to you again, I never want to see you again. You did something that hurt them really bad, or they're overreacting to something that wasn't that bad, but they're just being dramatic. They're just being dramatic, and they want you to feel guilty. Words count. Words can be weapons, especially nowadays where there's less wars and violence. A lot of people would be like, oh, there's a lot of violence. Well, the cavemen had more probably, right? So there's a great book. I forgot the name of it I think it's David Pinker. We've never had less violence or war in the world than now. Sounds hard to believe, right? So G Money, Double D, we got an all-star cast leading it off today. Great. Glad to hear you're doing well, G Money. Ohio's finest. Home of the great atmosphere. Getting back to it today. Why your ex hates you. I've had 4 serious relationships in my lifetime with women that I cared about, called a girlfriend, dare I say loved, dare I say still love from a distance. And I never felt like during a breakup that I hated them or they hated me. But I will say this, I hated the way it felt sometimes, right? I hated the way it felt sometimes. Let's look at it this way. What do you really hate? What do you really, if you're doing well in your life, is there anything you do hate? I would say number 1 that comes up for me is traffic. If I'm in bumper to bumper traffic and I'm driving, I don't know if I would say that's one thing where I go, I fucking hate traffic. What about you, Dan?
Probably waking up in the morning.
You hate to wake up in the morning, or you hate getting out of bed?
Maybe both.
You're still tired.
Yeah.
Wow. Got to change the routine in the morning, I suppose. Right when you wake up, you go, oh, I hate this. I'd rather just stay asleep.
Yeah, I guess.
So, what's the longest you've ever slept in?
Longest? Like,
Till noon, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock?
no. I used to sleep until like 3 o'clock, I think.
In the afternoon?
Yeah.
Jesus. That's called nocturnal. Are you familiar with nocturnal?
No.
No. Okay, I'll teach you a new English word. Nocturnal are for animals, creatures of the wild that live at night and sleep in the day.
Yeah.
Like bats, right? Bats are one. You're a nocturnal creature, so maybe just change your hours and just do everything at night. Would that be better for you?
No.
Or would you still hate waking up? Because that's a different issue.
I think sleeping in daytime is way different than like normal human.
I'm just thinking about that right now. I had a crazy dream last night. Crazy dream. I don't want to get off the topic and lose people here because this is a relationship base. But have you ever had a dream? And during the dream, I shit you not, I don't use that term a lot. During the dream, I remember telling people in the dream, this has got to be a dream. This can't be true. Right? Because I was so deep in the dream, and I was in trouble during the dream. I was facing some consequences, and I'm thinking to myself, this has got to be a dream. This can't be true. But I continued to believe it was true during the dream. Does that make sense? Like I asked the question to a person in the dream, like, this has got to be a dream. And when you're in and out of a dream and you kind of are like in a half awake state, I was kind of like that. And then I thought to myself, it's got to be a dream. It wasn't until I actually woke up in the morning, I went, oh, great. Oh, I'm glad that wasn't true. This has got to be a topic for another time, but how do we have these dreams that are so, it's got to be one of the most creative human adventures that we have.
Yeah.
Unconsciously. That you're like, where the hell did this come from? And I don't remember my dreams a lot. I've been told before, though, if you want to remember your dreams, that you just have to make an effort to have a journal and all that other stuff. All right, let's get back to you're still dreaming. It's time to wake up. Right on, the truth of love. Let's get back to the why your ex hates you. First of all, if you believe that to be true, that's where your problem starts. Because if you're in a really good place, you're happy with who you are in your life, and someone hates you, they got a problem with themselves. Okay? You did something wrong, you did something bad. At some point, someone doesn't need to carry some hate. Hopefully you apologize. But one breakup story where I did coaching. This it's saying that the stream's poor status. What's going on with this? This kid was 19. It was his first love, and went back to excellent condition. Okay. It was his first love. Stay with me. I know I'm going all over the place this morning here. 19, first love, absolutely destroyed by it. First time we had a live coaching session, we went 4 hours straight. I'm not joking. He said, do you have anyone behind me? I said, no. He goes, can we do another 2 hours? I'll pay for you right now. I said, if you want to, sure. And he just wanted to talk, you know, and really talk about, and what he was stuck on is how great the relationship was, because it was his first love, his first piece of pie. And, you know, I mean, he went into detail about, you know, everything. He was hurt. And his way of communicating his feelings was he was a talkative person. So he went on and on and on. But here's where here's where it got a little icky in the breakup. He had bought her an iPhone, and this is a coaching I did 2 or 3 years ago. So I don't know which fucking model iPhone it is. You know, it could be the model XR11, iPhone 12. People that are into these things, was it the 12? Was it the I don't know. It was an iPhone. It was expensive, right? He bought her the phone and paid for her plan. And by the way, this guy had made, from what he told me, by the time he was 18 or 19, he had like a small business. I don't know. He was selling some items. He had some money in the stock market. He had a Range Rover. And one of his things that happened during the breakup is he lost a lot of this money in his business. So not only did he lose the girl, but he lost his identity. And he wasn't too cocky or arrogant, but he liked to share the fact that he had all this money, and he fell pretty hard business-wise. So, you know, him paying for her phone was like nothing to him because he made all this money at 19. Okay. So they get in a breakup. It's your classic. She basically, I think, started kind of talking to another guy that was a friend of a friend. He got really needy when he lost his money. He was saying she wasn't coming over enough and she wasn't hanging out and all this other stuff. And it was just your classic needy, me. And she got to a point where it was like, yeah, you know, she broke up with him. Because if you heard his story, and I talked to him for 4 hours the first time, I talked to him hours afterwards too. It was evident, right? And it was good that he talked about this because he didn't realize how he was acting. But here's where he went wrong, where I think there was probably a period of time where she might have hated him or really disliked him, and he really blew it. He made the iPhone an issue out of the breakup. So it's one thing, like, now you're broken up, and people come to me with this. If you got your girlfriend or your boyfriend, but a lot of cases girlfriend, let's say you got her a ring and you break up, you don't get that back. So in my book, if you ever want to get back together or lose respect, if that woman wants to give you the ring back and you want to take it back, fine. But it's just not one of those things, right? Whether that's for marriage or you just got her a ring. But let me circle back to this story. Too much coffee this morning. He wanted his iPhone back. Here he is, this, you know, quote unquote junior baller at 19 with his Range Rover and his, you know, multiple businesses and stocks. And he's going to go, hey, by the way, I want my iPhone. I want the iPhone I bought you back. And at first it was, he made a big deal that he was paying her phone plan. Right? So he was like, I want to get you off the phone plan, which I was like, you know what? Yeah. You know, tell her, hey, look, you know, we're broken up now. I'm going to take you off the phone plan. You don't get the phone back. I mean, if you bought her that as a gift, it's a phone, right? Mm-hmm. But here's where it gets worse, Double D. It's one thing to ask for the phone back. She didn't respond right away. So you know what he did, Dan? Mm-hmm. Are you ready?
Yeah.
He called her dad.
What the hell?
He called her dad. Blew up the spot with the dad. I was like, what? Well, I mean, you know, I know her parents really well, and I know her dad. I know her dad, so I just thought it was reasonable to tell him, hey, you know, I paid for that phone. I've been paying for the phone plan. What do you think the dad did?
Well, like, blew up back at him.
Do you think the dad was like, oh, I'm so sorry my daughter did that, and we're so thankful that you paid for her bill, and, you know, And let me remind everyone of this story. This guy really wanted his girlfriend back. He really wanted to find a way to get his girlfriend back. This is why you need to write out your story and talk to someone like myself, or the Truth of Love Clutch is on here, right? Whatever. You got to unpack this shit, because some people unconsciously you're just like, really? So you made a big deal out of the iPhone and you think this is going to repair things? Whoa. Called her dad? Called her dad. Unbelievable. I just thought that was unbelievable when he told me that, right? So he continues on. Well, he's he's building a case. Well, it was this much money. It was this much money a month. I just didn't think it was fair. I go, that's fine, but you don't have a chance in hell of getting back together now, especially after going to the dad. Yeah, she was really upset that I talked to her dad, but I knew her dad. Yeah, you don't go to people's parents. People do this a lot, especially couples in their early 20s. Oh, I went and talked to her parents. What? Well, her mom likes me. Nobody wants you to go behind their back and talk to their parents about your relationship. I would say there's like a 1 percentile of breakups where someone goes, oh, I was so glad when he went to my parents, and then my parents talked some sense into me. Like, it blows up. That's one of those reasons why your ex hates you. You went to their parents? In any capacity. And a lot of times they'll state their case to the parents. And if they're nice parents, they'll actually listen. But in the back of their head, they're like, this guy's fucking spun. And by the way, parents are always going to take the side of their blood. Even if they don't get along with their kids. Right? I mean, it's just, they're not going to go, oh yeah, my kid did the wrong thing with you. They're going to go, Jenny, John was over calling again today. I feel really bad for him. He told me that you had his iPhone. ... Just stay away from him. Just stay. They're not gonna back you up. And if you come off pathetic and needy, especially as a man, the parents, father or mother, are not gonna find you as an attractive piece for their daughter. No way. No way. So if you're thinking why your ex hates you, there's a couple things. Number one, it's in your head that they hate you. And if it's in your head that they hate you, ask yourself, why? What's the reasons that they would hate me? Then unpack those a little bit. Like, why do I think she hates me? And if you can, get a breakup coach or a therapist to talk to you about it. Because it's not good to feel like you're hated by someone that loved you. And I hope if you're at a point where you're going through a bad breakup, that there was love involved. Because if it was just puppy love or a crush, or you were seeing each other for a couple months, you know what I mean? It was casual, we were friends with benefits. That's not the same thing. You're going to be okay. But if you believe someone that loved you and cared about you, if you believe that they hate you, you got to unpack that. And then you got to ask yourself, is that just based on this person as an individual? Is that the style of that person to go hot and cold? Because I don't want to be with someone long term that hates people easily. Right? Mm-hmm. That's not something, you know what I mean? I myself, I have a pretty good level of patience at this point in my life with a lot of things. But I can lose my cool. I can get upset. I don't like it because I don't like getting angry. I don't like being upset with people. So even when I do get upset or something like that, I'll circle back and go, why was I so upset? Because I don't want to carry any kind of hate. And I'd add, if your ex says, I hate you. There was another client I had years back. He was in his early 20s. And I'll never forget this. This guy was single for something like 8 or 9 years with no intimacy. This guy was a cool dude. I did a live coaching session with him for a couple hours. He was a cool dude, lived in Southern California, had money, had financial success, was into his fitness, right? Had a lot of things checked off in the box. He would have no problem meeting a woman. And since our coaching session, he's in a serious long-term relationship now. But guess what happened? When he was about 22, 21, he had a bad breakup. The woman said some over-the-top harsh things, actually assaulted him. He said their final chat in the car was she belted him in the head, smacked him, told him she hated him, and then also said, nobody likes you. No, but none of your friends even like you. And you could tell when he retold me that story, it cut him so deep, he actually believed that shit. It cut him. Here was the silver lining, though. He was a drug addict. He said his girlfriend was a drug addict. They were off the handles. And he said after that, he got sober. Sometimes getting down to ground zero has an effect in a good way, in a solid way. But it helped him get off the drugs and everything, but he still had this thing where he was really bad with women, but he didn't know why until we did the coaching session. Then when we came to that past breakup, that was the seed. And that statement, like, nobody likes you, had stuck with him. So he got really insecure with his personal relationships. And he believed she hated him. And they were like 5 years, boyfriend, girlfriend, since they were high school sweethearts kind of thing. Absolutely detrimental to his future encounters with women. Now, why your ex doesn't hate you would be, you were a pretty good boyfriend. You were a pretty good boyfriend, or you're a pretty good girlfriend. Not perfect. I've never been perfect. I'm no saint. I'm no angel. I've never started doing this channel to tell everyone, this is how I did it, so you should do it the same way. No. But if you look at your overall relationship, you're like, actually, I was a pretty good, you know what I mean? I was a pretty good boyfriend. Yeah, I was pretty good. I wasn't perfect. But if someone wants to hate you, let them hate you. You have no control over that. If you did something really bad, apologize and leave it alone. Don't apologize 15 times, right? But if you're thinking right now, I think they hate me. If you had a good relationship and they hate you and you did things with good intentions most of the time, you did the best you could in the moment, you said you apologized when you did something wrong sincerely, if they want to still hate you, let it be, let it be. Move on and move forward with some dignity and some pride. Start reading some good books, get some coaching, and start working on yourself. But don't ever let someone's feelings towards you that are over the top, negative, affect you moving forward. Because if someone hates me, I don't want to be with them long term. That's going to be an uphill battle. Petty Betty, reread that quote. This message is held for review. Reread that, Petty Betty. What's up, Rob? Oh, goodness. Yeah. The other thing that gets caught in the idea that your ex hates you is, do you want me to share with what you said, Petty Betty? Because it's still under review. The other thing about this is, does hate last forever?
No.
Right? Danny just threw that in, right? Like, I don't know if you can hold on to hate. I mean, if you hold on to hate too long, you're probably going to have some mental illness or physical illness. You know what I mean? Because it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to hate for a long time, right? And so that's actually when no contact or if someone says they just hate you, it's probably best you don't contact that individual anymore, because you apologize, you talked about it, you got to leave it alone now, because now it's just going to go over the top. And if they have come up with reasons to hate you, and you got the privilege to know what those reasons were, because a lot of times people, I don't even know why they hate me. I don't even know why they're so angry with me. That's when they talk to me and we unpack it, and they actually, oh, you know, to be honest with you, I did cheat once, and they found out, like, okay, just be honest. The amount of people when they talk in a live coaching, hey, coach, I'm going to be honest with you. Oh, that'd be nice. That'd be nice. I mean, you paid to talk to me. That's what you're paying for. A lot of times you're not even being honest with yourself. If you find the reasons that they hate you or they're upset with you to be baseless or illegitimate, then agree to disagree and move on. Is it easy? No, but it's the right thing to do. As the great Philip Carlson said, because I didn't pay the cable bill, I'm in trouble. It's a great example. I don't know if that was hate. I don't know, you know, that was hate from a woman, but that's one of those things when there's problems in a relationship and people are reaching for anything to make you feel guilty and make you the bad guy. It's a dangerous place to be in relationships where someone's looking to make you the bad guy for petty things. Now, I would have used that as a topic for a video, but it's just such a wordy topic. But that really gets me is when and I'll be in a coaching session and I'll be like, that's just fucking petty. Like, you're in a 5-year, 6-year, 7, 8-year relationship. You're upset because you haven't been seeing each other enough. You're upset because work has been tough. You're upset because a family member's ill. You're upset because your niece and nephew just got kicked out of school. Whatever. And then you just throw some guilt dart at your partner to make them feel bad. Oh, you didn't even pay the cable bill. You did that on purpose. Remember when you didn't do that? That's a reach, folks. Someone doesn't do like something like that, like a cable bill. You go, you know what? Made a mistake. My apologies. I'll pay the bill. Or you could go, is that what you're really angry about? I mean, I just want to make this clear. If it's really what you're angry about, cable bill's already been paid, hon. Tell me what's really up. Right? Truth to love, clutch. I just call it building a case. Oh, and he did this, and he did that, and he did this. I call it stacking. Oh, you did this, you did that, you did this. Reach. I mean, what's the real reason? Sometimes the real reason hurts too much to say, or someone doesn't want to admit that it's on them. They did something wrong. They're not being present in the relationship. They're doing some things wrong, so they just throw everything they have at you. I remember my ex accused me of trying to piss her off because I got an ice cream. Let that sink in. Sometimes you just have to laugh and walk away. Well, I don't know the whole part of that story. But you really want to pay attention to how I've met guys before that are in relationships with women they're extremely attracted to that are quote unquote hot women, right? Or at least in their eyes, because attraction and beauty is one of those things that everyone sees differently. My point is a lot of times these guys will placate to these women in a way that they somehow think, why is she acting this way? What did I do wrong? God, she just blows up. It's like, no, that's who she is, and that's how she is in relationships. Does that make sense? Like, you're discounting the fact that you're taking all this shit, you're dealing with all these issues because she's hot, and that's high on your list probably and these are usually guys that have a really big ego. Everyone likes an attractive woman, myself included. Okay? But sacrificing your pride and dignity, I've seen some pathetic acts, not in a breakup, but just in a relationship where a guy just becomes a doormat over time because she's hot. The intimacy is great. And you're like, okay, well then don't complain about the fact that, you know, she's got you on puppet strings. Don't complain about the fact that any given moment she can throw a fit and you can go, oh, I'm sorry, what do you want? What do I need to do? Don't complain. Because the relationship's playbook and how it goes down has already been written. Does that make sense? Have you ever witnessed this from the outside? It's always easier to objectively view an outside relationship rather than yours. Always. This is what I do. Always. Especially if I don't have a deep history of friendship, family member or colleague, and I just meet you and I can look at your relationship very objectively, non-biased, give you a really good point of view, give you a really good take. But if you get in a relationship and you find yourself getting in arguments that you're just like, I don't know what happened. She just erupted because, you know, I don't really have the extra money right now. And she said she really wants this car. Or she really wants me to give her some extra money. There was one guy in particular. That it was a money issue. And I don't want to say this happens all the time because there's a big generality that women are gold diggers and this and that. They're not all like that. And to be quite frank, I think if you looked at the psychology of a quote unquote gold digger or a woman that wants money and security, it's not that they were born that way or that's just what women do. They probably had a time in their life where they were really low on money or they grew up really poor. And they had a role model. Maybe mom was one of those that preached to them to make sure the man makes a lot of money. Or their first boyfriend spoiled them and had a lot of money. Those are all reasons that a woman might end up that way. It almost becomes a craft. And to be quite frank, okay. Because there's guys out there that have a lot of money and they go, I got the money, hon. Don't worry about it. And they like finding a woman that goes, I just want to be taken care of. I want to get my nails done. I don't have to worry about things. And I'll marry you. And some guys are like, great, perfect for me. Because I don't have to, then you'll be on call for me. Right? But the worst that you see is when some guy's like, kind of like, I don't understand why she's acting this way. I don't know what I did wrong. I had this one guy, he would call me up. This was a friend, not a client. And he got a little upset because he knows I do breakup coaching. He's like, well, why won't you talk? I'm like, first of all, you're a friend. Second of all, you're doing the same things over and over again. Third of all, you don't really want help. You just want pity. And he got pissed. And it's funny, the reason I'm bringing this topic up, because there's an ice cream story to this, Mr. Clutch. So this was a relationship. The woman was 28. He was early 50s, right? And by the way, my buddy at the time, good-looking guy in good shape. So it's not like it was just one of those. And he didn't have a lot of extra money, right? They were together, I think, for a year. But this girlfriend would just throw hissy fits if he didn't help out some of the money issues her mother had. And if she didn't get her way, and she was very jealous, and she'd make accusations that he was messing around. They were always in these fights where she was going to leave. She was going to leave. She'd pack up her shit, and he'd panic, and he'd, try to figure out what she wants. and she'd get really worked up to one of those points where he couldn't do anything right. You know, like anything he did or say just fed the beast. Right? And this guy, he was a big guy too. And so one time he calls me up because I don't know, she just went off on me, you know, and she's accusing me of this. She said she's about to leave. I don't know what to do, Mac. I said, go buy her an ice cream. Does that make sense to you, Danny?
No.
Stay with me. I'm serious too, because this was through text. Part of me was like, I'm tired of hearing about it, but why would I say go buy her an ice cream? What do you think? Who would you buy an ice cream for that's throwing a fit?
A kid.
Thank you.
Oh.
How would the kid react?
They would be happy.
Right?
Yeah.
Guess what happened? This is no joke. This is no joke. And this was just me. It wasn't a shot in the dark. I'd met his girlfriend. She's a bit immature. Right? She was acting like a kid. What they were arguing over was silly. Right? He texts me back 20 minutes later. Holy shit, it worked. Now, when I told him to do that, I didn't think he'd go buy the ice cream for sure. But I was serious. And where he lived was really close to a little mini mart. This was in my head also. So it wasn't like he had to go out and buy, you know what I mean? Some people are like, wow, he went all the way to the store? No, where he lived was like in a downtown area where there was a mini mart nearby. Okay? But think about that psychology for a moment. Right? So he comes up, he's like, oh, here, like, and just gave it to her. And what did she do? What do you think she did after he gave her the ice cream?
I don't know.
He said she just looked at him kind of like, what? And smiled and laughed. Because I study a bit of Milton Erickson. I don't know if people know who Milton Erickson is. I really like his approach to therapy. He was a hypnotist, but he was a therapist for 60 years. You guys can look him up. And what he would do is he would take individuals and their stories and craft individual therapy for the individual. Maybe I'm wording that in a confusing way. So he wouldn't go. Basically he wouldn't follow any textbook, but he had a PhD. He had umpteen years in hypnotism. He's a great story. Look him up, Milton Erickson. Great story. He would create solutions like this. Like this would be something Milton Erickson would do, like, okay, buy her an ice cream. Right? Why did she react that way? Number one, it cut everything else that was going on. Because it's like, what, like it's like this. It's like you're on a playing field, right? And you're playing football. And all of a sudden, and it's a serious game. It's a serious game, right? Right? The game's, it's 1-1. I'm going to say football, soccer, because it's an international audience. Right? And some guy jumps out of the fucking crowd. It's the most serious game in the world. Guys are about to get in fights, whatever. It's a championship game. Some guy jumps out of the crowd naked, runs across the field. Right? Yeah. Everyone goes, what the hell's this? Some people laugh. Everything switches. It's like, what's this? Some naked guy running across the field. Now, some guys are going to get angry. Now, if it was a naked chick, there would probably be different feelings, right? My point is he gives her an ice cream. Everything changes because she associates ice cream with probably something pleasurable, fun, exciting. Like, it took her out of her mode. Now, would an ice cream work for everyone? No. No, right? If you had someone that was really healthy, or a lawyer, or a doctor, or someone that was serious, or someone, first of all, they wouldn't have acted this way with him, and you offer them an ice cream, they would be perplexed also, kind of like, what's the ice cream for? They might even get angry about it. In this particular case, it softened her up, it relaxed her. She put her arms, she put her arms and her sword down, and he was like, I don't even know how that worked. I did. What was it when I suggested it? Was I like, oh, this is going to work guaranteed? No. It wasn't like that, but I was sincere. I was like, buy her an ice cream, see what happens. Go downstairs and buy her an ice cream. What? And Danny, without knowing, you just said, well, that's what you do for a kid, right?
Yeah.
It's not. And by the way, is that a good thing? If you buy your kid an ice cream every time they throw a fit, what happens? Every time they want to eat an ice cream, they know, oh, I'll just throw a fit. You're actually rewarding them for being a jerk, for being a brat. Mm-hmm. This is what makes little spoiled brats. So when you're in a relationship, someone gets upset with you and then you give them a treat to get out of it. See my point? You give them a treat. Then they just know, like, oh, I can throw a fit and I can actually get something positive out of it. Subconsciously, they won't even know next time they're doing it. And they'll do it again and again. And then you witness this when you have like, a couple's dinner or friends and you're hanging out and you're like, geez, right? Because they just developed a playbook on you, right? Why your ex hates you? If I were you, I would say this. If you hate me, you got a problem with yourself, hon. If I did something individually wrong that upset you, and I feel like it's wrong, I'll apologize. I'll apologize once. If I did something I don't feel like that's wrong and you hate me, that's on you. Nothing I can do about that. I'm not going to change my values because I like my values. Why your ex doesn't hate you? Because you're a pretty good partner. You're a pretty good person in life. You're not perfect, but you beat the odds. You usually are, pretty good 70 to 80% of the time. What's the basis for being a pretty good person? You have good intentions. If you can narrow it down to everything, think about that for a minute. Good intentions means you still can do some bad things with good intentions. But you have a positive outlook, a positive way. All right, let me get into the live stream a little bit today. Let me know if you've ever felt like your ex hated you or didn't hate you. As I said earlier, I've never felt like an ex hated me. I've never hated an ex. I've hated the feeling. Philip, if you're still on deck, I'm glad you're okay. Double D, G Money, I'm not sure if you're still here. You're still dreaming. It's time to wake up. Mac, have any of your exes ever stalked you on social media? Not that I know of. I'm not a big social media hound. I think it's just probably my age. I just didn't get into it that much. I have an Instagram right now. I wouldn't know. Facebook, when I had my really bad breakup that I can laugh my ass off about now, that was hard on me, Facebook had just kind of started. It was like 10 or 11 years ago, so it wasn't as big a deal then. I do remember my ex didn't like Facebook and didn't use it, and then when we broke up, quickly got on Facebook and had, I remember I looked at it once and there was different people on there. I'm like, this is bad when you're in a breakup. But knowing if they've stalked me, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. And sometimes when people are like, oh, I can see that they looked at my photos or they liked my friends' photos, I think it's a bad thing to keep track of that. The other side of Boston 617. What a name. Wicked, as they say in Boston. Manny Ramirez. It's part of manhood. Got to get it out of your system at 19. You're still not emotionally experienced. I agree. Nah, you get the ring. You get that ring back. He gave her everything she wanted. Big mistake. So if you gave a ring, you want the ring back if you broke up? What if you broke up with her? I had a client that broke up with the girlfriend. They were fiance, and then he regretted it, and he asked for the ring back. And I'm like, and you broke up with her? She was like, nah, I'm keeping the ring. And he was still making payments on it. They will always choose blood. Listen to the man, kids. He knows what he speaks. It's the truth, right? Even if someone's not close to their parents or their parents don't seem close to them, they're not going to. People do this all the time, too. I went and talked to her parents. What? If there's one thing, or one of the 5 things, I should make a video about this, one of the 5 things you really shouldn't do when you break up, don't go to friends, family members, and parents to plead your case. It's pathetic. I don't care how close you are. To plead your case. If you got to go pick up your someone just told me recently their iPhone watch, or you got something valuable at their house, make it specifically, oh, you know what? I got to pick up my BMX bike at your house that I left over there. Whatever. That's fine. Don't go over there and tell them your side of the story, because they're just going to tell their ex, and your ex is going to be like, you really went to my parents? And if by chance the parents, friends, or families take your side, the person's probably not going to, they're probably not going to be happy about that. They want to figure that out on their own. A woman should never be anything more than a compliment to your life, never main focus. If she wants to leave, open the door for her. That sounds like, I think Corey Wayne says that too, right? Petty Betty went blonde. Congratulations. What are we talking about? I think you know now. No woman is worth disrupting your life, no matter what she looks like or how great you think you had it with her. He should have talked to the mom. He should have talked. That's so mean and sad. Words count. Jenny J-Lo. Petty Betty, I won't say what you said that's held under review, but that's pretty funny. Dark Knight, Jenny Jen. Cassidy Claire, maybe on some level they're upset with themselves and hate that they've lost you and turn to take that self-hatred and reflect it on you. It's called projection, Cassidy. I agree. Hey, Petty Betty, we got 11 on deck, 11 likes, and it's 11 o'clock where I am. Is that good luck? She's into her 11s. And I'm born on the 1st and 81. 1111111. Because I didn't pay the cable bill. That could be a bumper sticker for breakups. Because I didn't pay the cable bill. Damaged women hate. It's more likely they're playing the victim. I agree. Let that go. She really not worth it. The worst thing you can do is take something someone's accused you of that's an identity statement, like you're a narcissist and you don't believe you're a narcissist. And no one's ever told you that before. If she's a liar and a cheater, she belongs on the streets, not your sheets. Vilifying from the dumper to the dumpy is very common. Cordal, Ogun. I find that a lot of people hate or dislike the other partners because they changed after the fact they had it in their mind it's over. I agree. Good, well put. Truth of love, LOL. I remember my ex accused me of trying to piss her off because of got an ice cream. I just told you a story about that. I don't hate any of my exes except for maybe one. Why do you hate one? When my ex was lying and cheating, oh my God, I suddenly became the worst. The world's worst guy. Yeah, she built a case. In the famous words of Corey Wayne, women like that belong to the streets. I lived the playbook. Oh, Johnny, New Jersey's finest. How you doing? A man hard at work. How's the relationship going, oh, Johnny? People are a product of their environment. This goes both ways. You can't force someone to see your way. Biggest lesson from the last breakup, don't give more than you receive. Maybe that's something we got to unpack sometime in a live. Don't give more than you receive. Are you keeping a scorecard then? How would you measure that, Clutch? That's what my question would be. I think that No More Mr. Nice Guy, Robert Glover, talks about covert contracts where you do things hoping that you get something in return. You should just be doing it because you want to do it. I don't know if I don't give more than you receive. So would you wait to receive something to give something? Or, yeah, because to me, I don't keep a scorecard on that. And it would be hard. If you're still on, let me know what you think about that. Or don't expect anything for giving something. I would agree more with that statement. And I know a lot of times people get at the end of a breakup and they're like, oh, I bought her a ring. Oh, I put her through dental school. Oh, I did this for her. And by the way, that guy that I was talking about earlier that was 19, he did a lot of that. I bought her an iPhone. I showed her how to do this. I did that. Okay, give yourself a pat on the back. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm kind of speechless right now because I know people like that. I did this, I did that. That means you're a good person, but you don't get to take, when you do nice things for people that aren't materialistic, like show them how to go fishing, or show them how. Why did I say fishing? Because it's usually show a man how to fish rather than give him fish, right? If you do those kinds of things, here's a really good way to put it. Doing good, nice things, to just do them because it helps someone else, on your deathbed, you won't regret that. Does that make sense? You won't be going through, I assume, and I think I'm far away from those days. If I'm at that point, I won't go, oh, I wish I wouldn't have done so much for that person because they didn't appreciate it. No. I think you'll go, I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I helped them out. I'm glad they're doing really well now. You can't get the honey without the money. This old man used to say this. Depends on where you live. Depends on your environment. It also, if that's your attitude, it's true. But it depends on where you live in the world and where you're pursuing women. So it's not women and men and women are all the same. It depends on what okay, so for example, if someone goes to university, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think money matters as much in those relationships because both people are university students. They're both working. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter as much. If someone lives in a very expensive community where people are judged by other people by the possessions they have and they grew up with a certain kind of lifestyle, well, then, yeah, money counts. If you're dealing with someone how about this one? This is what's not looked at in a quote-unquote gold digger. By the way, there are men out there that are gold diggers too. They just don't call them that. They usually call them manipulators, or they use women, or they take advantage of them, but they're gold diggers. Why does someone become a gold digger? What do you think, Danny? With all your wisdom at 23 years old?
I've never seen one before in my life, but...
I've never seen one. Like they have a special tattoo on their arm or something, huh?
Yeah.
Next time we see one, I'll point it out to you. You never experienced one, is what you're saying, or had one in your family. Mm-hmm. Okay, fair enough. Here, does anyone else know the reason someone becomes a gold digger? Oh, wait. Oh, you guys like that ice cream story, huh? It's true. Petty Betty said, oh, Johnny, it's true. No money, no honey. So what Petty Betty's saying, it's true for her. Let's look at it this way. If you met a woman that is a doctor, lawyer, and I'm just using the most obvious, prestigious jobs that would be independently, financially stable, as big as those words are, right? Let's just say that the woman's a doctor that makes $200,000 a year. Does she need to find a man that makes a lot of money? I actually have a friend whose sister's a doctor, and I believe he told me she made like $250,000 to $280,000 a year, $280,000 a year. Danny, just to give you an idea, that's about $8 million baht a year.
Wow.
Right? Which is a lot of money in Thailand.
Yeah.
A year, right? Do you think she goes, no money, no honey, when she meets men?
No.
So this is why when people... So guess who she ended up with? I don't know the guy's background because this is a secondhand story. But guess what? Her husband doesn't work. So is he the gold digger? I don't know. You know, he obviously does some things well for her. He obviously serves a purpose. So, that's just a, you know, there's plenty of people out there that's not true to. The people that make it true are in certain environments, and then they end up in relationships like that. The truth is, if you're financially independent, man or woman, you have more options. And here's the golden one. Ding, 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 ding. This is the biggest part. You have more freedom if shit goes bad, especially in a marriage, to go, see you later, alligator. Bye-bye. Because I don't need to stay in this relationship for money. There's a lot of people that stay in relationships and marriages because of money. I don't want to give up my house. I don't want to give up half my income. Cordell says, small stupid things count. Yes, they do. It made her laugh, and he put her in her place. It was funny, like I said, when I told him to do it, he's like, holy shit, it worked. You're dealing with a child, dude. Mac McCarthy equals best coach ever. Thanks, Dark Knight. It's just like you say, I don't think she hates me, but I don't like how I feel. Two different things, though. Philip, it's really important to characterize, this sucks, I don't feel good, not dramatizing it into, she hates me, I'll never see her again. That's putting extra cream on top of the suck sundae. Right? That's putting a little extra on top of, now you're making the story worse. I don't feel good. I don't like no contact. I don't like breaking up with this person. I miss her. This sucks. This is tough. But it's the right thing to do because our relationship wasn't good at the end. I wasn't getting my needs met, and I was getting neglected in a lot of places. That's the better way. I hope we can reunite down the road or something like that. The idea that she hates you or the idea that she'll never talk to you again was drama. So what you guys think about this? The current fiance of my ex. You shouldn't even, first of all, you had me at the first line. You shouldn't know that your ex has a fiance. The current fiance of my ex of 7 years ago sent me a friend request on Facebook. Why do guys do this? I don't know the guy from a can of paint. I've never heard that. I don't know a guy from a can of paint. Well, this is interesting, Johnny. I'm glad you shared this. We got 16 on deck, 12 likes. I appreciate it. If you want to throw a donation, go ahead. If you don't, it's fine. We're about an hour in. Good question. This is actually something I've come across, Danny, where it surprises me. I've had a couple guys that are clients that seem very confident, cocky even, that reach out to a girl's ex-boyfriend for intel. So and this is a guess, Johnny, because I don't know this guy from a can of paint. I don't know him. But if I'm guessing, she might have mentioned you and he's maybe tracking you, or he might want to contact you and ask you some questions about her. But I've had a couple guys, and I'm like, you contacted her ex-boyfriend? He goes, yeah, I know. It's kind of, he goes, I just had to ask because she's such a head case. There was one guy that was on a live stream that was a call-in, and he did this, and he was kind of tail between the legs. He goes, listen, I don't like to admit this, but I called up her ex-boyfriend. I don't know if you guys remember that live stream, the people that watch them regularly. And he called him up, and he was like, look, I just want to ask, she did this and this to me. Did she do that to you? And he said the guy was like, hey, man, I don't want to go there. I don't think it's a good move. I'm proud to say I've never called up a girlfriend's ex to get information. In fact, I would never friend them on there. But I think that he's fishing for either she mentioned you sometime, and so he wants to do a little, you know, a little recon on you, or he might contact you and ask you some questions about her. In that case, I would stay completely neutral and go, hey, look, dude, I don't want to get involved in a relationship. I was with her 7 years ago. You know, I wish you all the best. But I find it a little pathetic. Ignore the loser. Have your wish come true yet, Mac? What, for the 11-11-11? No, not yet. But I'll make another one right now. That's a good point. More along the lines of being with someone who receives and never gives. Now, that's a big statement, that never gives. That's selfish. I've always been highly attracted to women that are thoughtful and giving. So I think that that's something that I've had baked into what I'm attracted to. And it probably is, my mother was like that. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but I think that it's an expectation in your relationships or something that you find that you value. That's a better word for it, that you value. And that's a character trait, right? Someone that's giving or thoughtful. Someone that goes out of their way for you, that likes to do nice things for you. And so I've never been in a relationship where that's not part of their personality. So, sorry, Truth or Love, that you ended up in one of those. I usually identify that real quick if someone's selfish. And actually, a few years back, dating, I remember dating a few different women that were right off the bat attractive, had a lot of things going for them. I could tell right away, this individual is highly selfish. Right away. The conversations we had, and I could tell that one of them in particular was kind of surprised that we didn't go out again. And it was for that reason. In my head, I was like, I could just tell it's going to always be about you. And you can, there's little tells when you go out to dinner. I guess is that still a classic date, to just go out to dinner? Is there anything better than to go out to dinner and have a conversation? And, you know, little things that they do, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, but, you know, ordering the most expensive thing on the menu when you know probably based on who they are and what they make, they probably wouldn't order that anyways. Not finishing all their food, and then complaining about how other people treat them at work. You know what I mean? It's just, there's some things where you're like, okay. If they bring up their ex and some of the things they complain about them, okay. Even if someone didn't have the greatest relationship, and they were with someone for 3 or 4 years, they shouldn't have all negative things to say. I helped and did things for my ex and never wanted or expected anything, or I enjoyed doing things for her. And that's fine. I agree with Clutch that who receives and never gives. I would be interested to know, it would be interesting, Clutch, to see if your ex would agree that she never did give, if she's aware of that, if she considers herself a selfish person, or to take it a step further, if any of her past partners, because this is what, if you really are insightful, I get this a lot in live coaching. Some people will go, oh, I've been told that before. So I'm not telling you something you don't already know. I think one person is always more of a giver than the other. No score, though. Absolutely, Jen. How could someone be? This is what the thing about relationships. This is this whole movement of everything being fair. I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea, but to have fair outcomes all the time it's just not realistic. Jordan Peterson talks about it. It's just not realistic. But it's a choice. And there are people in relationships that care less than the other, and it changes. That's the crazy part. The person that cares less controls the relationship. That's a classic, and it's true. That's one of those laws of relationships that's true. Here's the thing. It can flip. And when it flips, and I've been in one of those situations where I was the one that cared less for years, doesn't mean I didn't care, I didn't love my girlfriend, just means that I cared a little less. And it flipped. I didn't like it. I didn't like that. We didn't stay together long after that, right? It's one of those things that's more in flux now in the 21st century in 2021 than ever before. And it really affects relationships. And you're right, Jenny. You give and you don't keep a scorecard. But if you start to notice that it's one-way traffic, and I've had this with friends before, stop complaining about it. Stop blowing the whistle. Look what they did. Look, they never do anything for me. Just stop hanging out with them. You don't have to make a big deal out of it. Andy, how are you? How are things? You actually did a call-in before. I hope you're doing well. Philippines finest. Pinoy pride. Is Pinoy more man's pride? If they said Pinoy pride, is that Filipino pride, or is that just, is Pinoy for men only? 200K a year depends on the lifestyle choice she wants to live. Good point, Rob. Rob, would you ever want to do a finance channel on YouTube? That's supposed to be big money right now. I've actually had someone approach me that wants me to start a finance channel. There are not many gold diggers. Men call them that after they give and give and give and then get dumped. I mean, I don't know what many is, Philip, but there are some professionals out there that are, I mean, there are ones out there that they're upfront about it. They're upfront about it, right? But what's the difference between a guy that uses a woman for money too? I mean, it goes both ways. It's just for different reasons. But I think I never answered that question. How you become a gold digger. The gold digger becomes a gold digger because it becomes their skill. It becomes what they're good at. And they don't have a lot of other skills to fall back on. Does that make sense? I mean, it's more or less a skill to seek out, and they know what to do to attract the guy that's going to give them what they want. I'll give you an example. I had a client that was, by all accounts, a pretty good guy. I don't know how much money he made a year, but he had his own place. He was a single dad. He had his shit together. He was some kind of manager, some kind of insurance firm or something like that. But he had, you know, he's a good dude. And I think he made pretty good money. He was able to afford live coaching sessions multiple times and whatnot. But he told me he was comfortable. He had a girlfriend, right? And he said she was highly attractive. He was with her for a couple of years. She was a drunk. She was in and out of jobs. And when I say she was a drunk, he said that. She was an alcoholic, right? But the intimacy was great. He was highly attracted to her. Guess what? She was upfront about it. I just want you to take care of me. Guess what? She had no other skills. She was I think she was in her early 30s or late 20s. She had no career, no job. She was in and out of jobs. She loved to drink during the day. That's a big sign of a bad alcoholic. You don't just drink, but you drink during the day. That becomes your job. And she found a guy after they broke up that was rich. You know, I never saw pictures of the woman, but obviously by what he told me, she's highly attractive. And she knew what she was doing in the bedroom. Those were skills that she leaned on. And she was upfront about it. And she would hook up with him while she was with her new boyfriend that was rich and taking care of her. And she said, look, we can get back together, but you're going to have to take care of me. And the biggest thing that held him back, which is a great thing, is he goes, I got a son. I can't have her around my son drinking all day. I'm like, well, even if you didn't have a son, you really want to end up with someone like this? You know what I mean? It was intimacy that got him. It was big. So, thanks, Jenny Jen. I appreciate it. I hope Buckshot, the tortoise, is doing okay. So I lost my place here. I'm not gold digger, but I date I date lazy men. That's what I mean. I don't date lazy men, I think. Her husband doesn't work, then what does he do? Well, there are men out there that are stay-at-home husbands with the kids. I've had colleagues and family members that do it, and people look at them and they're like, "Oh, is this guy ever going to get a job?" Why is it so bad to be the reverse if they're a good dad? Why is it so bad to be the reverse if you're a good husband and your wife makes a bunch of money and she doesn't mind? Because here's what's really interesting about a stay-at-home, let's say a stay-at-home partner. This could be a whole other topic for a video. A stay-at-home partner, if you're rich enough, right? So for example, if I get to a point where my live stream and my business gets to a point where I'm quote unquote rich and I make $200,000-300,000 a year, right? And I have a wife, and why would I not want her to not work? For me, if she had a job that she really enjoyed and it was part of her livelihood, fine. But if she enjoyed not working and was available to hang out more with me and was in a better mood and it worked out, and we had kids, that would be a total privilege for her to be able to be home because I was doing something I enjoyed and made a lot of money at. Why can't it be reverse where the guy's able to do the same thing? The key to it is there are people out there that don't like being stay-at-home partners because it doesn't make them feel good about themselves. That's a whole nother can of worms. The legal system can't come after Bitcoin, yeah, but yeah. Bro, he sent my brother a friend request 2 years ago, but now he sent one to me directly. I mean, like I said, because I'm just not into social media, I just wouldn't respond probably. I don't know. What good could come of it, right? You don't want to get entangled in a relationship with your ex of 7 years ago. If he becomes like, hey, man, did you see my friend request? You can just be like, yeah, I did. I don't want to get involved. Dang, how embarrassing. He might just be one of those people with social media that just, friends everyone. So weird when he said 11:11. It was 12:12 here. Okay. I deleted the request. I used to work with my mom back in the day, but other than that, I don't really know the kid. I deleted the request. I used to work with his mom back in the day. Well, that might be why, but I wouldn't want to be entangled, and you got enough friends, right? Why have a casual friend that's hooking up with your ex now? Do I need to remind you what mother was like? Oh. My first date is coffee shop, Double D. Really? It's all about how they treat their wait staff. I agree with that because I was just talking to Aleph earlier today. Aleph's not going to be with us as much because Aleph got a new gig, a new job. But Aleph was, he used to be a waiter at a place called, is it Coffee Club, Danny?
Yeah, it's a coffee club.
Which Coffee Club's originally a chain from Australia. Did you know that?
Huh.
You didn't know that?
No.
It's a chain place,
I know it's a chain, but
yeah.
I didn't know it was.
I didn't know, but I remember when I was in Phuket and I was at a coffee club and these Aussies were like, oh, Mike, it's just like Australia. It's just as good, I'm like, oh, this is an Australian thing? I had no clue. Anyways, Aleph was a waiter there, and we were just talking earlier. If you've ever had jobs where you were a service, I don't know if you've had that. I guess being a coach is a service job in some ways, but where you help a lot of people throughout the day. I mean, it really, when you get people that treat you like shit or look down on you, it's actually a good experience because it makes you thicker skin, makes you stronger. But if I'm around people that are rude to waiters or staff, friends, family, colleagues, or a potential partner or date, yeah, you're dust. You're dust. It's just low, man. You know what I mean? It's just low. It's just low. I'm actually the opposite. I'm very conversational. I usually, especially if it's young people, I'll ask them where they go to school or what they, you know what I mean? It's like you're serving me or doing something that's, going out of your way for me, even if I'm not going to, Sometimes you're not going to always buy stuff, but yeah, I agree. How you treat wait staff. How you do one thing is how you do everything. It's not an absolute truth, but it's pretty damn close. So pay attention. But I would say, yeah, rude, and also how they talk about friends, family, and colleague members. I remember this one girl. We spent some time together. It was a friend of a friend. She was in town visiting. And we went out and, man, just complain about work and about guys she's dated. And I was like, damn, this broad's a mess. Just a mess. And she's attractive. But it was just like, it was like she was caught in a gill net, man. Every conversation was complain or negative. I don't think I've ever witnessed so much negativity. And she knew I did coaching and stuff. And I said, you know what you should do? And she's like, what? I said, you should move. Because I said, you need to move out of the environment you're in and just change everything. Because the negativity was so thick. The complaining was so thick, and it was related to her job, where she lived, who she was dating. I'm like, you need a fresh change. And she was like, I can't do that. I don't want to leave where I live. She went on this thing. 2 weeks later, she's like, yeah, I'm thinking about moving. I'm gonna get I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. So it's like sometimes advice sinks in later on. I'm not interested in the guy I'll go to Starbucks if I'm not interested in the guy for a first date. What does that mean? I'll go to Starbucks if I'm not interested in the guy for a first date? Brand new Skinner. Mr. Zach Levine, I believe, made the All-Star game. I haven't been following. I follow the Warriors, but congratulations. I know you were high on them. I'm well, Andy. I'm really, really well. Weather's beautiful. Beach is beautiful. Getting back on deck with live streams. I took some time off. I want to maybe start a new. I'm going to start a new channel. I didn't tell you guys this. I'm starting a new channel where I'm going to show beaches and places to eat in Phuket. I know it's not on the topic of breakups, but I wanted to start something new. People are asking about Thailand all the time. It's in the works right now. So that should be fun. You'll never believe what just happened a few months back. Andy, please do tell. No plans. Do you want me to put you in? What does that even mean? Do you want me to put you in? What are you doing at 1:30 a.m.? Do you want me to put you in? Finance channel. My friend Da Vinci does one. I'll send you the link. Cool. I called in about, someone. He actually wants to get back together but wants me to wait for him. If I remember your story, he had a drug problem. He had cheated on you. And this is how good my memory is, Andy. He had a drug problem. He cheated on you. He cheated on you openly to the fact that his family, which you said in your culture, which I know Filipino culture, was very embarrassing, that it was actually his family members that told you with good information. He denied it, so you felt like he had lied to your face, so you just wanted him to tell the truth. And if he was going to get back together with you, you wanted him to follow your lead in going to college and going to university, and he wasn't really interested in university. All three of those, I wouldn't get back. And I remember telling you, don't force someone to go to college. If that's your values, that's your thing, and he has no interest in it, that's fine. I'm not judging him for not going to college. But that just says that's something that really is important to you. And people like people that do what they do, and that's okay. And if you like who you are, don't change. Stay you. But someone that has and I'm not against someone that's a drug addict and recovered. Good for them. Sounds like he's got three things there that you have to overcome. There's a lot of trust issues that would have to be overcome. Andy, tell me 3 months later, because you sounded like a sweet woman, very kind. I'm assuming attractive, right? Are you gonna entertain taking him back, or where are you at with this? I remember that call. We should pull that up if I had it on file. How good is my memory? It's worse than they drink first thing in the morning. Daytime drinking is a huge red flag unless it's 4th of July. Okay? I think the team here is hobosexual, is a term most people haven't heard of. I haven't heard of hobosexual, no. Haha, this ex I'm actually talking about is an alcoholic. Well, I don't get my rocks off, no pun intended, on making fun of alcoholics. I've had some in the family. It's a tough thing to deal with. I really do appreciate you take your time to go live like you do. Well, thank you, Jenny. I appreciate it. It is time consuming too. And I do have some people go, oh, it's the wrong thing to do with your channel. You need more 10-minute snippet things. I like it. I do know her view. It was an avoidant mentality mixture of projection and entitlement in regards to the give and take dynamic. The relationship wasn't going to work. I've been thinking about it, Clutch, and I've made, Aleph made some cuts from that conversation we had about attachment theory. He cut up the video. I'll put it live pretty soon. But I think I want to revisit that conversation on attachment styles. I'm still not all in, but rather than get into it right now, I thought it was really good talking to you about it. I liked your perspective. It doesn't mean I agreed with everything. And I know you respect someone that doesn't agree with everything because you don't agree with everything. I've noticed that, which is good. It's good to have your own opinion, but listen, right? Hobos is someone who dates you with sole interest of having a place to stay, not a genuine romantic interest. Wow, that's pretty desperate. I've never heard of that before, Rob. But I've known people I think like that. Yeah, sure. What's the book Crazy Horse about? The book behind you, Mac. That's a famous chief. They're all gonna. Yep. I'll let you look that up on your own. I won't go into Crazy Horse right now. That was one of my grandfather's books on his bookshelf for years. So it's kind of one of those things. It's not just a, it kind of has some, it's symbolic beyond just the book. But he was a famous chief of his people. Brooklyn Nets, jeez, the NBA's, I'm sorry, maybe this is just sour grapes. I know the Warriors are great. But what I really don't like, I don't mind if you sign a free agent, okay? But just getting guys, stacking teams when guys are released and getting paid out, I just don't like it. I don't like it at all. Some guy can cry his way out of a $80 million, take $13 million less, and then go to the best team. If you're going to get bought out, you shouldn't be allowed to go to the top 5 best teams. Sorry. I don't like it. I don't like it for the Warriors. I don't like it for the NBA. They got to change that. If a guy's going to get bought out, he can't get rewarded. He can go on to a new team, whatever. But so you get bought out because you're not playing up to your contract because you're playing like shit. And then you go, oh, and by the way, you can go to the best team and get another $1 million. It's ridiculous. Sorry, you shouldn't even brought that up. No, John, I mean, just ridiculous. Because I don't want to waste his money if I'm not interested. So Starbucks is nice. So you go out anyways, out of pity. So Starbucks is a pity date. So do you suggest Starbucks or he does? Petty Betty, but that's a waste of time. Elena P just jumps in out of nowhere, Miami style. Wow, sharp memory, coach. That's real. You know why I always say I have a good memory? Because I reinforce that I have a good memory. You are who you believe you are. Remember that. So what are you going to do, Andy? You didn't say. Uh-oh, swoosh, the swoosh won Nike. Coach Mac, my brother, how you been living? Large and in charge. I've heard of hobosexual. Jeez, roller girl. Andy says, yes, I don't think I'll get back with him. Don't do it. At least not for now. You shouldn't even be entertaining this. I don't usually speak this strongly, but based on your story and what you told me before, take your chances with love somewhere else. It's already been 3 months down. You've already made a lot of progress. there was too much there, right? 3 months, I don't think he's going to change that much. Maybe one day when we are both okay, I appreciate you, Coach. Well, I appreciate you too, Andy. Rob, what's up, brother? How you been? Someone who sleeps around for a place to sleep. It's also called couch surfing, I believe. It's a waste of time if you didn't go on Starbucks date, because how do you know if you didn't go? Look at Petty Betty. Like that. She just drops one. Hobosexual. Hobosexual. Coach Greg Adams' term, I think. Well, I know that isn't there a website called couch surfing or something like that? Are you aware of that, Danny?
No.
I got a story about that. I had a couple friends that worked at a charity I worked at before, so they were working there. This was years back. As teachers, excuse me. And so they were, traveling around Asia. They had different jobs. And they were like, oh, yeah, we have couch surfers over through this. I'm like, couch surfers? What? I didn't even know what it was. It's a website, so if someone just wants to stay at our place. And I was like, so do you guys do the same? Like, to me, I'd rather pay for my room or get a cheap room. I don't want to stay at someone's place I don't know in their, living room. This is what they were doing. They're like, it's cool, man. Then you meet new people. They had this one guy, and they brought him to my birthday party. I had a birthday party on the beach with a barbecue and beer, and it was a cool. I had a caterer come. It sounds more fancy than it was. It was basically catered for 15 people, whatever. So they bring this guy, and he's bragging about, oh yeah, man, I've went around the world, man. I went around the world. And, I just quit my job, and I've just been around the world couch surfing and, sleeping on people's couches. And, I started out with, I don't know, I just had, a couple $100, and I've made it around the world. And I was like, I looked at my friend, I'm like, what did you bring this guy over here for? I knew instantly, my instincts are watch, the guy's going to fucking eat all the food, drink all the beer. Because people like this, they love free shit. They love it. You follow me, Dan? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Danny, you got class.
Yeah.
You got class. You don't have a lot of money in your pocket, and I don't say that. You know what I mean? But if I took you somewhere and I'm like, hey, a friend's having a birthday party, would you go, oh, shit, I better get all the food I can eat and get 3 fucking plates? You'd go, okay, I'll have a plate. I'm not going to take advantage of this. This guy, there were these ribs, right? And this lady near my house makes these beautiful ribs. And it's the most popular thing if I have a party or anyone has a party there. This guy ate about half the fucking plate of ribs. You know what I mean? It was equivalent of a dog that hasn't eaten in 2 years, if that's possible. And I thought to myself, what'd you bring this guy for? And then he had 2 cups of beer in each, 1 cup in each hand. It's not a hobo. He's a freeloader. I don't mind if you're down on your luck or you're low on money. Have some fucking class. Is that possible? You know what I mean? It's the guy. I remember my girlfriend at the time had a plate set aside. You know what you do at barbecues and things like that, to take home?
Yeah.
Right? The guy got in my plate to take home. I look over, and he had gotten into that. Fucking scavenger, man. Scavenger. Total And then, oh, yeah, he's cool, man. Yeah, it's really, he's gaining a lot of skills. A year and a half around the world, and the guy's, one step above a rat. Couch surfing. I've done Airbnb at my house. Wouldn't you rather pay? And pay, you don't have to pay a lot. That's the problem with free. People don't value it, right? If they were charging $15 for the room, it would be better. But you get someone like that, jeez, man. Oh, we're bringing our friend who's a couch surfer. Thanks, I appreciate it. He might he can charm me, but I haven't met one yet. Yeah, I think he used it a few times in the past. Been missing these live chats, coach. Work been crazy. Well, it's good that you're busy right now in this economy. I got the Mocha Jordans. Petty Betty. Still got that LA in you. Still got that SoCal in you, huh? Were you in Westminster or where were you? Because I have a client that used to live in Westminster. That's where it's like 40% Vietnamese. I remember I looked up where that town was. I was like, CGA is a comedy, bro. That's good to hear, brother. You cop any new kicks? Okay, I got in trouble for how loud we were last time. Let's wait till I'm back in Cali for the next collab. How would you get in trouble for that? Not for me. When are you coming back to Cali, Clutch? Okay, I see you. Oh, you were loud. You got too loud in your room. Is that what you're saying? Okay, I see. Nice pickup right there. Love the Jordan ones. Jenny, couch surfing isn't quite the same because you're sleeping on the couch, not in the bed. I guess you could say he took more than he gave. It was just the way he went about it. That's all. It's just the way he went about it. It was way over the top. It was way over the top. To the story, coach, all I can say is some people's kids. I would stay up, but I got to wake up in the a.m. Take care, brother. Right on, Chris. Shape your future. Love the title. Yes, that's where I was. OC, Orange County. Orange County's big. I got it in California. Cali's big on the Jordans. Clutch used to live in Santa Monica, I believe. How is San Diego right now, Nike One? Are you doing all right out there? Folks, I only got a few minutes left. If someone has a quick question, I got to go. I just looked at the clock. We did an hour and 30 minutes today. So, yeah, the girlfriend wasn't too happy in the morning. Laughed my ass. She loves the video. Okay, good. We had a good conversation, though. We had a good conversation. Like I said, I went back and watched some of it, and I thought, we got to talk about that a little bit again. Because the interesting thing is when you talk, and you're both a coach, you're used to listening, but you're usually giving the advice. So having a constructive conversation like that, it's good. It's good. It's interesting. But I want to talk about that again. There were some things about it that I wanted to ask a little further. Doing good, coach. Things opening up slowly over here. Hopefully back to normal soon. Jeez, man. Folks, plan your trip to Thailand, please. This isn't a public service announcement, but it is absolutely gorgeous over here. Crazy Horse is about Crazy Horse. All right, Petty Betty, any closing questions? Yeah, I want to know about the book Crazy Horse. I miss you, Petty Betty. Just go to Google and put in Crazy Horse, and Wikipedia will give you all the information you need. I still want to get a one-on-one one of these soon. Yeah, that'd be great, man, just to catch up. I get, people are asking me, oh, how's your channel? I go, you know what? I've never had more. 3 years later, I got a lot of people that come back to me that sometimes aren't in breakups, but just want to talk about their life or where they're at, or they're in a new relationship. And actually, it's really good. I think Clutch would agree with this. I've been doing breakups specifically for a long time, but now I would absolutely recommend if you're in a relationship and you just have a few things that are, like one of my former clients, he contacted me, and he was in a 1-year relationship. After being in the breakup, we hadn't talked in a year and a half. We did a lot of work together, and he was really overreacting to some things, and we unpacked it in a 2-hour live session, and he was all in to just break up with her and get back into single life. And he's like, I was doing pretty good as a single guy, and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, wait, it's not going to be that easy if you just break up. Like, you're not going to just sail off into the sunset and feel good about things and just hit your stride where you were at before you got with this woman. You have feelings for her. She lives with you, you know, she lives in the same house. It's not going to be that easy. So if you pull the string on this, and after we unpacked it, it wasn't one of those situations where he needed to apologize. He was just framing certain events in a way that wasn't reasonable. And once we talked about it, I think he came to his senses. And that's not only, it wasn't one of those things where I was like, oh, let's just save the, no, we need to talk about it. And I think about 3 or 4 days later, he had posted that it was their 1-year anniversary and, you know, whatnot. Laugh, I see it behind you. He's not lying. Thailand is amazing. Hopefully going back soon. Yeah, I'm going to, like I said, I got a channel in the works to take you around Phuket, beaches, places to eat. People ask me about it a lot. Something I'm an expert on at this point, at least living here rather than just being on vacation. And it's just gorgeous right now. And so a lot of people, you're going through it where you live. A lot of times when people are going through in a breakup, I'm like, find some kind of thing that's exciting that you can't do now, but you can look forward to. And one of them would be planning a trip somewhere that's a tropical island with beautiful beaches. That's usually attractive to most people with good weather. You will never lose talking to a coach therapist. Getting stress off your chest is incredibly good. Absolutely. I would add, I'm going to go with beaches, truth or love, for 1,000. Any traveling restrictions? Yeah, you have to do 2 weeks of, what do you call it, Danny? 2 weeks of, why is it out of my head?
Lockdown?
Not lockdown. Well, that's what it is. Yeah, you have to do 2 weeks in a hotel. You got to get tested multiple times. But you can travel here, but you have to, you have to get tested for COVID first, then get tested for COVID here, and then be locked down in a hotel for 2 weeks, and then you're fine. All right, folks, I got to go. It's been great. It's been grand. I'm glad we had 19 on deck, 16 likes. Jen, thanks for the donation. I appreciate it, hun. In the comments, if you guys got anything to say. Otherwise, I'll be back on deck again. I'm glad that it's been well received. I've been off deck for a little while, but this has been great. Danny, I appreciate you, bud. Thanks for joining. Quarantine, yeah. It's on the tip of my tongue, quarantine. There you go. Take it easy, curtains.